all that banter we had is now just lost. Yeah. I was like, there are some little bits in there that I'm sure you could prize out and actually use.
We have music in the background, so not really.
Not for all of, like just now, like the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yep, true. Fair enough.
Lost content, Bryn.
I did it. Oh, we did it. Who cares? Welcome to CDR. I'm Bryn. This is Matt, where we give our very unprofessional opinion about music. And this week we've been listening to the 14-track, 43-minute running third album by Julia Stone called 60 Summers. This has been 6 years in the making, 9 years since her previous album, solo album, By the Horns. And she's working with Thomas Bartlett, sorry if I got that wrong, and Annie Clark. Also working with two of the guys, Matt and Bryce from the Nationals. Matt making an appearance on the third track, We All Have. Before this even was released, they started cutting back 50 demos that they had recorded over the 60 years just to bring the 14. Little backstory into Julia, who is the other half of Angus and Julia Stone, being coming from a very musical family. Once she graduated high school, she went on a trip to South America with Angus. That's where she learned to play the guitar.
In Bolivia, if I read the Wikipedia article correctly.
It most certainly is. That's where she learned to play the guitar and started writing songs. In 2005, they were doing open mics. Angus was doing backup vocals for her. Then when he would come on after or before, she would do backup vocals. 2006, they decided to do a duo, which is also the year that they dropped their first album and got #1 for Big Jet Plane.
I thought it was a little bit later than 2006, though. Wasn't Big Jet Plane early 2010s? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Actually, you would be right. Sorry, Big Jet took 5 years. Thank you, Matthew, for getting that. 10 years. So 2010, they released their album. Got Big Jet Plane, #1. It was also the year that she released her very first solo album, being The Memory Machine. So since the start, she was always wanting to do a little bit of solo. This album got a lot of words spoken, a little experimental. Some call it Sonic.
Sonic the Hedgehog, I assume.
I guess
that's
so.
That's what that means, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Good to know.
Getting rings.
You were saying,
Matthew? How was your week?
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. When I heard the first track break, and I'm like, ooh, okay, yep, and then listen to the rest of the album, I must admit I was disappointed and not looking forward to my week listening to it each and every day. It did become a little bit more palatable as the week wore on, but yeah, it will not be put through the spinner again at the end of the week.
That's fair enough.
What about you?
I struggled very much at the start
to
even get through half of it because it's 14 tracks. It was halfway through. I was like, oh, is this close to the end? No, we are not. But from Queen onwards, I found that the second half sort of picked up a little bit, and I was a little bit more happy about that half than I was about the first half. There's just this midsection in the center of the album where I'm just... It's a hit or miss depending on the person.
Yeah.
This is definitely not our flavor, but I'm happy I gave this a roll.
I guess I don't know if I'm happy, but I'm happy it's done. Let's put it that way. The problem for me wasn't like hits or misses. It was just the fact that we sort of just it never went above like a plateau. It was sort of like, oh, this track's okay. Oh, this track's not that great. Oh, this track's it's okay. At no point did I ever go into a track going, yeah, I'm actually pretty happy to be listening to it. All I can do is say this track is probably one of the better ones on the album, or this is one of the worst ones on the album relative to the album, because, basically all of these tracks would fall below every other track from last week. Let's put it that way.
True.
That's not to say that it's totally devoid of music or competence. It's just a personal preference, but we can dig into that.
We can if we want. Starting off with the first track. Oh shit, should we do all tracks or should we just blaze through the ones that we would like to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about Break because
Break
was the first track that we listened to. It was sort of got me feeling like it wasn't going to be an album that I was going to like. It's such a stilted track. It has like a weird Caribbean vibe to it that I just didn't ever gel with. The vocals are flowery and they pop, but Yeah, I just really don't like the construct of the song, or really even the lyrics to the song. So as soon as this one came in, there's always this sense of foreboding. Oh boy, how long do I have to listen to this? Yeah, not a good track to start. I'm pretty disappointed with this as an opening track. And importantly, there are better tracks to come, but I think I wanted to highlight that I didn't particularly like this one.
The start of Break was a little interesting with this wind chimes walking into drums, and I was getting a little excited. Same thing. I was thinking of a tropical holiday with sides of street performance, and I think the most interesting part out of this, besides her, quite frankly, she has a beautiful singing voice. Words spoken is the main part of the song, but I think that the wobbly guitar towards the end.
Bling, 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 bling.
Yeah.
Darling, darling, I feel like I might break. Darling, darling.
It was very street performing.
Yeah, it felt like people were walking down the street, banging drums, having generally a good time. But the problem I had was that they didn't lean hard enough into that. Imagine if it was a carnival song, like it was just big and bombastic. Instead, it has that stripped back indie feel at the same time as being Caribbean and big. It felt like they were working against each other for a lot of the song.
If they got it together, it would have been awesome. But if we move into 60 Summers, the next one, a festival song for me. I could just imagine when she's doing those real high notes towards the end. 60 summers. Did you have it all? And then just big lights beaming straight up into the sky. I got a lot of Lana Del Rey and a bit of Tash Sultana looping.
Yeah, very much so. Actually, a lot of Tash. I got a lot of Tash.
I got a lot of Tash and one or two others as we go along. I think Free actually was a bit like that as well.
I also think that this song had some of the better representations of the jazz instruments. So the horns, all of the woodwinds, I think worked better on this song. Whereas I felt kind of odd in the previous track. This song's okay, and I guess this also starts like the cavalcade of, the average songs being the good songs in my opinion. But this song's okay. It's not immediately skippable.
No, but it creates an atmosphere that it can draw you in. If you live, I reckon this would be an amazing performance.
Sure, I'm not going to argue against that.
No, I wouldn't either. It just screams to me front stage, big show, festival, lights, blah, 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 all that fantastic thing. We all have the national... You know what?
Yeah.
Just disappointed that he only turns up for the very last part. Like, this is a short song. This is like 2 minutes 30. And Julia doing all her little things, being real great. We all have a likeness to be okay now, and then love is all we need to be here for. There's like Matt just comes in with this deep bellowing
about
voice,
3/4 of the way in. Yeah,
completely polar opposite to Julia. And when they do come into a harmonize at the end for the duet, it is beautiful. But like, why just that little bit at the end?
Mate, if you want to listen to a Nationals album, just listen to a Nationals album.
I will. Hi, Violet. I'll be seeing you soon.
Very good. This song also features the chord progression that I'd like to call the Axis of Awesome chord progression, because I think that's the best way to reference it.
Did you lose a point for this?
Yeah.
Did it lose a point for this?
The album, yes. Look, so the chord progression gets overly used in pop music, and the Axis of Awesome have like a video on YouTube that you should go and check out if you haven't. It has like 50 million views and basically plays a litany of pop songs over the last 20 to 30 years that use the same chord progression, and you'd be staggered if you aren't aware of it, how many songs fit. This song uses that chord progression, but I like this one as compared to the other one in the album that uses it, because it plays this as a straight indie ballad. It's really understated. It's not like the core feature. The core feature is Julia's vocals.
Yep.
So I think it gets a pass mark. The song is pleasant to listen to. This is probably one of the better tracks on the album for mine. It does have a funny lyric. I get the sentiment, but every time I read the lyric in isolation, it gives me a chuckle. It's every moment will pass in a moment. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. But in the context of the song, it makes a bit more sense.
It makes a lot more sense, especially if you, in a mindful state, is just the normal thing.
It feels like something you'd find on a fortune cookie. Every moment will pass in a moment.
Everything arises and falls like the tide.
Yeah. The only thing that's certain is certainty itself. Next song.
Substance. I call this the Peacock at the start.
Why?
Because it sounds like there's a peacock. This is a little haunting, a little darker. There's this low constant note that is just played for a long period of time. It's also not off-putting. It's almost quite molded to the song, and it's nice.
I think this song has a better mix. I think it's a bit fuller.
Yep.
There's a bit more instrumentation sort of floating around. And yeah, I tend to agree.
And the harmonies are very sweet.
Yeah. Her vocals, I think, work best so far on this track as compared to those previous.
Yep.
Yeah, the lyrics are played straight. They're not super cringy, which is kind of nice. The one word that always sort of sticks out is that she doesn't really swear on the album except for this song. It's fucking me up. It's fucking me up. Which I kind of just like go, oh. Like, it's strange when someone like swears like that one time in an album and then not at all for the rest of it.
Do you think messing me up or crushing my life would be better?
I get why the choice is made. It's still just, you immediately are aware of it.
Yeah.
That's not a detracting point, just a point of interest.
I guess it is kind of, what's the point of only having one line in the whole album with the word fuck in it? What's the point? Might want to say from here, there kind of becomes a bit of a pattern as we go along. Substance really does send out the point that there's a lot of relationships back and forth of leaving, being with each other, can't get away, can't stand each other for the rest of the album. Is the whole thing is pretty much based in there.
Yeah.
You've
said the story structure.
It pretty much is it. It's probably her just reflecting on all the moments in her life and then just putting pen to paper and then just doing whatever she wants to do.
All right. So the next song's Dance. I'll give it like a 2-word review and then you can tell me why I'm wrong. This sucks. Now tell me why I'm wrong, or at least not totally right.
I know you don't like this one because this has also got the chord progression.
One reason why I don't like it.
Yeah.
There are others.
Lyrically, you probably are not happy with it either.
It's pretty bad, yes.
Yeah. Besides all, I don't care too much that the lyrics are not to your taste. It's kind of cool that the story is based around everything is coming to an end, it's not going to work, but for one night, let's just finish it with a dance. We shoot for the moon, but who doesn't, even if it doesn't work? It's dreary and gloomy, and I really am just drawn to this Big Ben bell that hits at that point of why don't we dance?
Yes. Only one thing left.
I actually don't find this song terrible or hard to listen to. It's, even with a slide guitar in there, that's pretty.
The spoken word lyrics through the verses I actually fundamentally hate. It sounds like Robin Sparkles from How I Met Your Mother.
You think these words spoken is nowhere near as are worse than Break?
Yeah, because in Break, she keeps a tonality to her spoken word that you could interpret as singing more so than this. This is just straight up, I'm just whispering into the microphone, feeling sorry for myself. It's actually, she's just speaking, and that's it. And it sounds so cringy. I cringe every time I hear it. I'm like, this is the worst idea from the 90s. Leave it there. Just leave it.
Do you know what would make me like this, or you may like this a lot more, is that there is, at the end of this album, a bonus of this in French, except for the soft part is in French, and then the chorus is back into English, and she put out the safety net, she went for an experiment, she was trying something new, going for the leap, but that net is there, and do you know what? If she just sung the chorus in French, I would probably be more drawn to this song because I wouldn't know you wouldn't know what the lyrics were. But there's something about the music that I quite like, this slow dance.
Do you know why you like the music? Because it's the same chord progression they use in all of those other songs to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. It's not a popular chord progression because no one likes it.
Well, if it works, it works. What is
if
it about?
if it works, it works. Yes, agreed.
Okay.
Right.
Can we have a quick talk
The problem is when it's overused.
Yeah.
Right. It's used twice in the album. Right. So the case in point might be you compare and contrast to other acts. Think of every song that the Beatles released. There's only one single they ever released with this chord progression. This album has it twice. On its worst song, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm pretty sure Dance was released as a single. I'm sick of this song. Can we move on?
Yeah, definitely can. Free, jazzy, trumpets, deep drums, energy for the chorus. I don't know why. Why is it just at the chorus it decides to get a little light and electronic? And then, for love of God, 10 seconds of this awesome guitar. Twice, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's just that opportunity to, like, I spark up, like, interest. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to, like, build and just grow and just turn that into something rocky and awesome, and nothing.
Yeah, well, it's indie. It's not allowed to do that. This song is all right. The energy shifts, I think, are good. The horn sections are relatively good. Yeah, it's a bit of a Blue Balls moment with the guitar lead, but yeah.
You like Who, don't you?
Yeah, I think Who's a pretty good track. It's dancey. It's like the only dancey track on the album. It feels like an early 2000s club track.
I was going to say, oh, my baby boy. I was going to say a bit underground / Rihanna.
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
I can give that. Who do you think you are?
Loving me like you do. Like in the chorus, there's a really, really cool like music hits on the beat that I think are quite good.
Oh yeah, there's a drive to it. That's
Again, there are more spoken word lyrics in this.
There's spoken word lyrics throughout.
Yeah, this is not the worst offender. Dance comfortably has that as its title, but yeah, I like this song. I'm happy that it was included and not cut. Yeah, I'm a bit worried if there were 50 tracks and these were the 14 they chose. Anyway, moving on. Can we have a 5-second pause of appreciation for Mlem?
For the Mlem.
Mlem.
For the Mlem.
M-L-E-M.
Mlem.
Mlem.
Because that's the sound his tongue makes when he goes Mlem. Mlem. Good boy.
So the next track is
Oh
Fire
my
Me.
God. How about we talk about Muse for a bit?
Yeah, this is the Ode to Muse track.
This must be the Uprise.
Yeah, this is Muse Uprising. The Come on!
Even just the drums, the whole start.
It's probably why it's one of my favorite tracks on the album.
A little sentimental about it.
I like Muse, and this song tries to emulate it, so I'm dispositioned to like it. Yes, it's a bit derivative, but it's a good track. It's a very good track, actually. I really like the change-up in the third verse where her vocals become probably the most menacing they are on the entire album.
Squealy?
No, like real understated, kind of hiding underneath the music a little bit menacing, a bit dark. Definitely, I think, the best part of the song. I'll point it out to you when we listen to it afterwards.
I thought we'll never listen to this again.
Sections of songs, not the album or songs in full.
Okay. Easy. This one was trying 3 different types of vocals in this. She'd be word speaking. She'd be like sort of soft word spoken, and then there's this eerie singing voice in the background that's overlapping. And then the chorus I kind of found is just the only part I really enjoyed in this song. This is actually one of my least favorites.
Yeah, the only interesting point is that there's an odd stiltedness to the mix of her different vocals through the chorus, almost like that I want it to be easy part. The last line comes across a bit heavier compared to some of the other lines that she sings. So the mix is a bit funny. And I guess that's interesting to me. I'm not sure if it's good. It just is interesting. But yeah, this is like a jazzy, loungy kind of track. And yeah, skip.
Yeah, skip. My favorite, Queen. I really enjoyed Queen. It was more to be based around her singing. Just there's 2 choruses in here.
Yeah, actually.
Which will overlap onto each other or roll after each other. And it's like she has... a Macy Gray voice when she sings this without being the roughness of Macy Gray. Sorry.
Indie Macy Gray.
Indie Macy Gray. It's It's low. It's got this little warm. It's quite soulful. I found along the line, and the harmonies, and just when she belts into like I could have done this when if only I was sober, I could have gone out and got out of this in this horrible time. Like, I'm the queen and I'm begging on the street. Give me a feed. I need $1. I got everything I need. I need you to feed me, but I got everything I need. I just this through the chopped and changed between the two choruses is awesome.
This song's pretty good. For me, it's a bit repetitive, and I cringe every time I hear the "buy me a feed" line. But aside from that, I tend to agree with your sentiments on this.
Yep. Okay. Heroin.
Not heroin.
Heroin's
what you want to take whilst listening to this to try and make it better.
You fucking OD. Either you end or the song ends. Is that what you're saying?
Anyway, what do you think of it?
Well, when I decide to skip half the album and start from Queen, I found a new appreciation for this song because it's so different from Queen, and each song after Queen is very different. It's almost like she's trying new things every time she does these songs. Whereas before, when I got to this one, I was like, oh, it sounds a little repetitive. I almost, for some reason, I was like, this sounds a little like 60 Summers, but I'm definitely wrong. Definitely wrong. But it goes a little bit daydreaming, and it hits this sweet spot. And it's like it skips and skips and skips, like you're in a dream. I felt a little of KGLW, not per se their type of music, but there's that feeling I felt where it is like a daydream.
Sure. I actually didn't mind this track either. I think you're right on reflection. I think the back end of the album has some of the stronger tracks. I especially think Queen, Heron, and the next one, Unreal, tend to be a pretty good package of songs.
I find them very artistic. I think it's more artistic in this section.
Yeah,
more branching out of her flavor.
Yeah. I got a little bit of a Phil Collins-y early
with the drums.
Yeah, with the drums, and even with the guitar lines as well. A bit Genesis. I really quite like the piano accents through this track. They're a little bit more sparsely used, but really flowery at really particular moments that I think were artistically correct. This is a good track.
Yep. Unreal. The intro is just as and it sounds like someone's slapping against a box. I found that was a cool effect.
This is a good track. I quite like this track. I like the Daft Punk synthesizer over the vocals in the chorus. That real, like, make me feel so unreal, but with the totally modulated voice. The synths are great. I think the drums probably are at their best on this track as well. They're a bit more chaotic in the emptier space.
Exactly the word. I had chaos down for them.
But in the right way. It's not like
it's not a long moment. It's a very short moment, enough to just shake you up, but pleasantly.
Yeah, and I really
like awaking.
Yeah, I really quite like the darker synths throughout. This
is
a good track.
I like the dark. I do like her doing the darker things. That's why I'm okay with Dance.
In fact, I'm probably going to put this down as the best track. I was going to say Fire in Me, but given it's just basically Muse Uprising, I think Unreal is the best of Julia Stone on this album.
Oh, okay. That's Matt's opinion. I Am No One. Sad, emotional. What have I become? Repeat. This is actually the first acoustic. And the ending of the song. Ending of the album too, kind of.
There are no other acoustic bits on the rest of the album?
Not as in front and noticeable.
Okay.
Where the others they've probably got an acoustic slide guitar going on. But this is the only one where she's actually doing some sort of picking, and it's nice. Yeah,
I don't mind this track. It's a little bit bland for mine. The lyrics are a bit suggestive. There's one line I actually have no friggin' idea what they mean. Like, take the intro line. I'll read it to you. You give me your best guess. I met your parents. They were lying on the floor, falling in love like they'd done a million times before. Is that just like oh, look, we're fancy free, we're falling on the floor, and this is our love making activity, you know?
I don't think it's meant to be taken literally.
I don't think so either.
But there are further lines as the song goes on, there's further lines. taking pieces of other people's love for her own relationships. That's not the exact line, but that's what I kind of get along the way. So it's almost like, you have such a loving family. I want to be a part of that, but I'm not really in love with you, and we know this.
Yeah. I still want to know, they're lying on the floor and falling in love like they've done a million times before. Like, why the floor?
I don't think they're actually...
Is it just because it rhymes? I don't know.
I don't know. I think that maybe they're just madly in love and they do heaps of cute things, and people would just go, you guys are so in love. Truth be told, about the lyrics, I think the title of this track is probably the best part of it. I Am No One. And it's like, oh, this could be dark.
I am less sad.
Yes. And that's down to the last track, and then after this is the French dance, which
we do not need to talk about at all.
Do not need to talk about. If it was just, why did it have to go back to English? I would have liked it so much more.
Yeah, I just hate the song fundamentally, so I can't even begin to give an opinion on that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So for me, like, the last point of interest, now that we've gone through the entirety of the album, is this is Julia Stone. It's not Angus and Julia Stone. So one of the other things that I did is I sort of start to dig around some of Angus and Julia Stone's collaborative work. And the one thing that sort of stuck out to me a lot, and you can give your opinion on this if you like after I'm done, I'll be very brief, was that it seems like whilst Julia has the voice, Angus was substantially better in the song construction department. I think a lot of the songs suffer from a lack of creativity, and to sort of hide behind that, a lot of them are sort of stripped back to try and really thrust Julia's voice to the forefront, which is what you would do if you can't write songs but your voice is great. I got the impression listening to Angus and Julia Stone that I really wanted that. I think the harmonization between the brother-sister combo is stronger than is stronger than them individually. I listened to some of Angus's stuff as well, and it's not as fully mixed out without the female vocals of his sister to sort of play around with. I think they're stronger as a duo. So, do you have anything to add to that? What's your thoughts on that?
I think Matt's analogy is like having a pie without sauce. When they're together, they're great, but you don't want to have sauce by itself. You don't want a pie without sauce.
I mean, I would suffer the pie without the sauce, but yeah, you don't want to just eat the sauce. Anyway, analogy fits.
I can't give you a rebuttal to that because I didn't go back and have a good listen to. I think it's the first time I listened to Julia by herself. I thought the same thing, but this is years and years ago. I thought, it's just not the same without Angus, which is the same as I would say about Jack Black without Kyle.
Yeah, it would be weird, wouldn't it? It's not Tenacious D, it's just Jack Black at that point.
Yeah.
And where are the sexy guitar licks going to come from?
This is true. Julia Stone trying new things, experimenting, being a little bit arty, really trying to flex more of this poetry side. And I think she really likes France and the people, because I felt a lot of the times that I was in probably some little coffee cafe and she's doing this little gig.
Fair enough.
Probably be awesome too. Like I've never seen them live, but my sister and my dad went and saw Angus and Julia Stone playing in a little room with no more than 10 to 15 people, and they said it was the best thing they've ever seen.
That would be great, actually. That would be a cool little concert to go to.
That would be awesome. Matthew, what's your score? Oh, wait, I got to guess. Because you're not a fan, 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. This album, whilst there were some experiments taken, some of them really didn't land and had probably one or two of the tracks that I thought were some of the worst that I'd heard in quite a while. And we listened to Cannibal Corpse and Eric Church not that long ago. There are good points on this album. I think if you're in the indie scene and particularly like Angus and Julia Stone, you'll definitely have something to get out of this album. This really just wasn't in my wheelhouse at all, and I feel further away from this genre as a result of having listened to this.
You want to get further away from alternative?
I'm feeling less inclined to go to an indie album of my own accord.
All right, Matthew. Next week
we're going to listen to Charlie XCX, How I'm Feeling Now. That's the album.
Charlie SEX?
XCX.
XCX.
Yeah.
Oh, not as kinky.
Not as kinky, no.
Not as kinky. What was the title?
How I'm Feeling Now. She recorded it in a very short period of time during COVID with fan help because everyone's doing that.
Why not? You got so much downtime.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to listen to the first song after this. I'm kind of excited for you to hear it.
I'm very excited. All right, we've been CDR. Let us know what you think of this album and leave any fun facts about the album and the artists themselves.
And tear me up if you think differently to me. That's fair.
Right, yeah, go for it. We don't give a shit. All right, see you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
So you had a crack at Eric Church. I've been going back through the albums. Oh, look, the heart, no. Soul, yes.
Soul is comfortably better than heart.